Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, please be sure to subscribe down below and click on that bell icon thing. It notifies you when I do upload a video. Let's just get straight into it. Today's video is going to be quite different to what I usually upload on this channel. Not that I have a theme, but it's different. It's not really a challenge or a tutorial or whatnot. However, I do want to start a new series on this channel and this would be the first video of that series. So if you guys do enjoy it and want to see more like this, then give this video a big thumbs up so I'm aware whether I should make videos like this again. So yeah, I'll be grateful for that. Let's just get straight onto the story. To you guys about a person called Nicholas Barclay who went missing in 1994, and still to this day he hasn't been found. So his case is still classified as an unsolved case. However, there are many conspiracy theories behind this story as to what may have actually happened to him, including death, still being missing, or sort of living a separate life away from all of this. So let's just get straight onto the story. So first of all, I'm going to speak to you guys about the overall events that led up to his disappearance, and then I will talk to you guys about the big sort of plot twist of the story, and then the conspiracy theories, and then my own theory. What I will also do is in the description box below, I will link down all the websites that I used to gain this knowledge on this case, so you guys can have a read for yourself. Blech. Can't speak English, back at it again, Mez, with the no good English, right? So you guys can have a read for yourselves of the story and maybe even come up with your own theory. And if you do, then comment down in the comment section below your theory of this case. I would love to read them, so yes, do that. Okay, so the overview of the story. So this is exactly the sort of events that happened from what I've read. So Nicholas Barclay was 13 years old and it was just a normal evening for him in 1994. His mother gave him $5. His mother's name is $5. I give up. His mother's name is Beverly and she gave him $5 to go play basketball with his friends in a local area nearby where he lives. So he went and did that. He was playing basketball. It was getting quite late and dark. So he was trying to call his mother, ask her to come pick him up. However, she wasn't answering her phone. Then a few minutes later, his elder brother Jason, so remember the name Jason because it pops up a lot in the story. So basically Jason called up Nicholas and said, look, mum's asleep. I'm not going to wake her up. So you're going to have to make your own way home, walk home or whatnot. So Nicholas was like, whatever, I'll walk home. So like an hour or 2 hours passed and he still didn't turn up home. So the Barclay family didn't find this anything out of the ordinary because Nicholas had a reputation for disappearing. Like he just sort of did his own thing and didn't come home. However, the weirdest part is for them was that Nicholas usually messaged one of the family members to say, I'm not coming home tonight, I'm staying at this person's house. Like, because he was a rebellious teen, he never really asked his parents for permission to go do what he wants. He kind of just did it, but he did notify them that he was doing what he was doing. So they found that a bit odd. So a few hours passed and they thought, right, he's not home, he hasn't contacted us. They've tried to contact him and he hasn't replied. So they thought, right, we've got to contact the police. They contacted the police and the police kind of said to them, this isn't very important as of yet because he has got that reputation for disappearing. So we're going to give it a further couple hours and see whether he does turn back up home. And if he does, all good. If he doesn't, then we'll start investigating. So the police were like, right, we'll leave it here for now. They left it for a good 3 hours or so, 2-3 hours, and he still wasn't home. So they decided to take it into action and go do some investigating. They went around the local area as to where he lived. They went and found no traces of Nicholas. So they then began to sort of worry and take it further into action. So their investigation kind of flopped. They couldn't find him and 3 years passed and he still was missing. Like no one could find him. But what was kind of odd from what I've read, what was kind of peculiar about the story is the fact that the Barclay family kind of gave up looking for him. They didn't really continue. Like there was no sort of update in their sort of search for Nicholas. Like that was just a bit odd to me because, oh, the bell rang. Because if he's your son or your brother or whatnot, you would feel like a missing chunk of your own heart when he disappears. Like that's just weird to me. So anyway, guys, that out of the way. 3 years later, I believe it was in October of 1997, October or December, I think it's October. So the somewhere down in Spain, I can't remember the specific area in Spain, but in a youth shelter, someone contacted the law enforcement officials and told them that they were Nicholas. So they called them up and said, look, I'm Nicholas Barclay, I was abducted and brought into this paedophile ring for 3 years, and I've only just managed to escape, so can someone please come and get me? So the law enforcement officials passed this over to the Barclay family, and Carrie, the sister of Nicholas, flew over to Spain to go pick him up. She went down, she looked at him, they asked her, is this your brother? Does he sort of remind you of your brother? Are you sure it's him? And she was like, yep, it's Nicholas, it's him. Can I take him home? So she kind of takes him and they fly back to San Antonio, and on their journey back, this is another odd part of the story, she kept saying to him, do you remember this, do you remember that, and like sharing stories with him about his previous life when he was living within the household. And she showed him pictures of their house and pictures of memories that they all had together, almost, in my opinion, in a sense, feeding him this information. Like, for example, if this guy was not Nicholas, she's kind of giving him all of this information so that he can assume the life of Nicholas, rather than, you know, like him finding it himself as he lives in this household. So anyway, Nicholas was just like, yeah, I remember that, no, I don't remember that, like acting kind of like, you know, I've forgotten quite a lot because I was taken away for 3 years and things have changed, whatnot. So Carrie was kind of just, sorry, Carrie, I don't know how to say her name, she was just kind of rejogging his memory in a sense. So yeah, that was that. They got back to their house in San Antonio, and this Nicholas guy, he basically went back to living the way Nicholas would have lived, you know, like if he didn't actually go missing. So he stayed in Nicholas's bedroom, he even went to a school in San Antonio, started a sort of fresh life after his 3-year gap of being away from home. And yeah, so the family were kind of normal with everything was trying to get back on track. There was a bit of friction between Nicholas and his family just because he didn't really remember much of what he used to be like, and everything that went on within the family household before he went missing. He didn't really remember much at all because he was, in a sense, traumatized from being involved in a paedophile ring. So okay, that was that. So guys, that's the overall sort of story and background to the events that led up to him going missing, and also the events of him returning, in a sense, like, you know, returning back home. The plot twist of this story is the fact that there was this private investigator, I can't remember the name of the private investigator, but they thought that this whole story was a bit sketchy, and that this person that turned up to be Nicholas didn't exactly seem to be like Nicholas. Like, in the investigator's eyes, he looked completely different to Nicholas. He had a different eye colour, a different hair colour. Fair enough, hair can change, like the colour of hair can change, but eye colour, like, they weren't contact lenses, they were legit like the person's real eyes, and they were a completely different colour. I believe Nicholas had blue eyes and then this guy had brown eyes, or the other way around or whatnot, but just obviously like completely different. That was like the biggest aspect for this investigator to go into further investigation, and so that's what they did. They took this Nicholas away and did some DNA testing, so took his fingerprints and all of that sort of stuff, and the results came back to be a French guy called Frederick Bourdin. I'm not too sure if I'm saying his name right, but that's the name of this French guy, and he was known as a very good impersonator. He assumed the life of Nicholas. So yeah, that was like the plot twist of this whole story. And what was weird to me is that, did the family not realize, like, being a mother, I'm pretty sure you can realize whether someone is your own son or not. Do you get what I mean? Like, yeah, fair enough, they've gone away for 3 years, they could have changed, but not changed in such a significant way to the extent that you've got a completely different eye colour. Like, that mind baffles me, like, that's just so confusing. But yeah, so it turned out to be an imposter, and yeah, that was like guys, like, oh, this story is just so interesting. And then, oh, I just don't know. Anyway, yeah, so he turned out to be an imposter, a French guy, and like, also the accent would have been different, no? Like, that's just a bit weird. So anyway, long story short, that's the sort of overall events leading up to his disappearance, his reappearance, and then the conclusion that this guy was not actually Nicholas. So Nicholas, where was he? Like, he's still missing. That's the story, guys. Now we're going to go on to the conspiracy theories behind this story. And yeah, the first one I'm going to talk to you guys about is actually a conspiracy theory brought about by Frederick the imposter himself. He contacted the police and said, look, I think Nicholas was murdered and I believe Jason is one of the main culprits within this case and within his disappearance, and I do believe that Beverly is also a factor that knew about the whole situation, and Kerry may have known, but that Carrie was debatable, like she wasn't as obvious. So that's what he said to the police, and the police came down to sort of question him, and he said, look, when I was living within the Barclays household, Beverly came up to him and said they killed him, like that's just like a bit booky, right? And that was just a bit odd. So he gave that piece of evidence, and then he also said that when he was living there, Jason came up to him, looked at him, stared at him like for a good 5 minutes, knew full well that it wasn't Nicholas, and said good luck, like dead looked at him in the face and said good luck. Like, to
good luck.
me, that's just weird. Like, come on, your brother's gone for 3 years, he's made a reappearance, and you're looking at him and saying good luck. Like, that to me is a big piece of evidence as well. So the police took this into account but couldn't fully believe Frederick because of his like known past of lying and impersonating people. So they couldn't fully believe him, but they still wrote this all down. And after they received all of this information, they wanted to go ahead and question Jason, but he had actually died of a drug overdose, which could be, by many people, is viewed as him committing suicide. So that, to me, is another big piece of evidence leading to Jason actually being the one responsible for Nicholas's disappearance. So yeah, they couldn't fully question, like, they couldn't fully finish this case because Jason wasn't there to be questioned. So this case was still left unsolved. So that was Frederick's conspiracy theory. And then we move on to Beverly's theory behind the situation. She was questioned, but she just said that she knew nothing about the situation, and she doesn't know where her son is. She didn't know she didn't know Frederick was an impersonator. She literally thought it was Nicholas. That's everything that she told the police. But then yeah, I think I mentioned this at the beginning of my video. She did say that she believes Nicholas may have taken a ride with a stranger and like had just gone off to do his own thing and never wanted to come back home. So he's gone into this disappearing act, and he knows where he is, he knows who he is, he's still alive, but he just doesn't want to come back to the household because he didn't, she believed that he didn't like living with them, and he didn't like the area that he was living in, so he just went off to do his own thing. That's what she thinks has happened. So yeah, that was Beverly's theory as to where her son may be. Alright, so another theory, I can't really remember who created this conspiracy theory, but if I can find out what article I read this from, I'll link it down. But I only just remembered this one. This one person came up with the conspiracy theory that Nicholas got involved in drugs himself, just like Jason, and perhaps got involved in the sort of dealing business with drugs, and he was murdered by someone within that ring, and they've covered up their tracks. So they believe he's got himself involved in something very, very dangerous and was murdered or killed as a consequence of doing something wrong within that sort of business, and so was murdered, and no one has ever been able to find his body or find sort of tracks leading to his disappearance. So that's another theory someone's come up with. So they're the three main conspiracy theories I've found about this story, but my personal opinion is I agree mostly. Let me just put it like this way. I agree mostly with Frederick. I do believe the family had a big involvement in Nicholas's disappearance, and I do believe he has been murdered. I don't think he's still alive. Just the idea that Jason said good luck to this impersonator, the fact that Carrie was feeding all this information to this impersonator. Looking at your brother, you would know full well whether he's your brother or not. Like, if my brother went missing and another guy comes along 3 years later and says, oh, I'm your brother, I'll look at him and I'll be able to sort of identify with him and see whether it's actually my brother. Like, yeah, you've gone for 3 years, unless you've been completely brainwashed and or you've lost your memory completely, then of course you're not going to remember much. But I'm pretty sure that this impersonator would have remembered a few things if he was legit Nicholas. So the fact that Carrie was feeding him all this information about his life before he went missing, and about their family, that to me makes me feel like she was just covering up tracks, and she really wanted this person to adopt the life of Nicholas and to pretend that he really was Nicholas. And also the fact that Beverly said, oh, they killed him, like that is also quite odd. It's just they all kind of contradicted each other and themselves. Like I just think that they allowed this person into their house thinking that the wider world, like everyone who knew about this story, would think, oh look, Nicholas didn't go missing, because they might have been seen as murderers or like a big factor of his disappearance before this impersonator came along. So they wanted to kind of regain the trust of people around them, and you know, not be seen as these bad people who have just like done something to their son and covering up their tracks. But this was a form of them covering up their tracks further by allowing this impersonator into their house to live the life of Nicholas. That confuses me. Like, if you know he's not your son, why would you let him live in your house? Like, he could literally be a murderer himself and kill you lot. But I don't know, that was quite odd. So I think Jason, as he was basically, Jason, I don't believe actually lived within the Barclay household, but his mother Beverly called him to come live with them again so that he could sort of pattern up Nicholas, because Nicholas was an unruly teenager who was disruptive and did a lot of bad things. So Jason was brought back into the house so that he could like pattern up Nicholas and get him back on track. Maybe Nicholas did something that pushed Jason on the edge, and so Jason murdered Nicholas. That's my sort of idea of the situation. And so Jason had to cover up his tracks, and Beverly got involved, and like she might have even been there, but I'm not too sure about that. Like I can't put a thing on that, but I believe Beverly knew, the mother knew, that Nicholas was dead and Jason was the one that killed him. And Beverly wasn't too disheartened because she had a tough time trying to raise Nicholas, so she was just like, let's cover up these tracks. And then Kerry, I don't think she was there at the time of the murder, but she obviously knew the story as well, and that's why she was getting involved in covering up these tracks. So that's my overall sort of judgment and conclusion for this story, that Nicholas is dead, Jason killed him, Jason then killed himself because he probably knew that he was getting caught out, and then Beverly just sort of came up with these sort of things to cover her tracks, and so did Carrie, whatever her name is. So yeah, and Frederick's obviously the impersonator, and he did a very good job of impersonating Nicholas, but obviously that didn't last very long, so maybe it wasn't a very good job. No, but anyway, yeah, so it is said, let me just put it out there, it is said that now Frederick, in 2007, he got married and started his own family, and he stopped impersonating the lives of missing children, which to me, I find that weird. Like, why would you want to even begin to impersonate a life of a missing child? Like, that's just weird. But thank God, like, he's stopped that now. Let's hope he's continued to stop. But yeah, so that is it, guys. That's my take on the story. If you have your own sort of take on the story, then please be sure to leave it in the comment section below so I can have a read of that. And yeah, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want me to do more, then let me know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like, honestly, things like this really fascinate me. Like, it's intriguing. I love reading up mysteries and murders and like missing people cases, that sort of stuff. It's just so interesting. So